I only keep friends around me now that genuinely want the best for me. And when they see me like that, they celebrate me, and I also celebrate them. Like if they ask me how I'm doing it, or can I help hook them up with people, or can I introduce them, I will always do that. If I always say, if I can do it, you can do it.
Welcome to another episode of Negotiate Your Best Life. I'm so excited today because we have a beautiful badass with us today. Caroline Stansbury is a stylist turned Bravo TV star, top 20 podcast on her relationships. She's got millions and millions of downloads. She was also a breakout star of Bravo's Ladies of London. She's been on Real Housewives of Dubai. She's been all sorts of different TV shows and different outlets, media outlets. She's also built multi-million-dollar businesses. I'm so excited to speak to you, Caroline. Thank you for being on this show. This is going to be so inspiring and empowering for so many.
Thank you for having me. I've just had you on my show, and I have to say, I was just saying to my husband, what a badass too. Like, what a job you do. Quite incredible. So I love
Thank
speaking
you.
to powerful women.
Yeah, me too. It's my favorite. And also, as we started to say before we got on camera here, lifting each other, supporting each other, seeing each other win. That makes me happy. I love seeing my friends win. That's my favorite.
Me too.
Yeah. And so I think that a lot of times people don't feel that way. And you've gone through a lot of different things in your life. I think people could look at you and go, oh, well, she's got this beautiful life. She is, living in Dubai. She's on TV, whatever. That didn't come just by accident. You manifested this life for yourself, and you have had difficult situations. You've had to deal with narcissists in your life. Can you just talk a little bit about your journey and how you've been able to do that? Let's start where you started.
Well, I think, absolutely. I think from the outset, everybody likes to pigeonhole me because I'm from an old English aristocratic background. But I mean, I'd like to just tell you what that means. I went to boarding school from the age of 6 and came out at 18. Now, that is a very hard upbringing for any little girl. And I don't care who you are, the British boarding school system, and I don't think they even allow it anymore. Not the same way we had it. So, you would be woken up by a bell at God knows what hour, where you all had to get up like the military, get dressed, make your bed, line up, and go to breakfast. We went home twice a year, maybe 3 times, and you couldn't phone home. So, it's a very, very strict upbringing that I come from. And I think with that, it had made me a very, very hyper independent, very strong person. And maybe that is, every time I sort of want to sort of beat it out of my parents that I hated my upbringing. On the other hand, I want to think to myself, I wouldn't be who I was without it, right? And what I think is, you said that I have a very positive outlook. I think you have a very positive outlook because you learn as a little child that no one's coming, right? So either you solve your problems pretty quickly, or you're going to be one of those girls that ends up, as a victim their whole lives. And, from that moment on, I think one of the greatest lessons it taught me is no one's going to save you. No one. And, I think a lot of people will know when you go out for a week. I used to stop going out for a weekend because then I had to go back to school. So that was harder for me. And I think so that taught me that. I ran a huge business for a long time. I found that incredibly hard. I had very, very hard and tough investors, which ultimately broke it down. They didn't really get on, and that happens a lot. And then I was sued for 8 years. So by it was public, not my investors or anything like that. So it was more insurance company trying to get money, which I actually won everything in the end. But it was 8 years of hell, put it that way. I couldn't spend a penny. All I did was like, pay lawyers' fees, which we've all been in before, I'm sure. And, I was at that time asset rich, cash poor. And it was really, really, really tough. And I didn't want to work anymore. I didn't want to be this badass bitch. I wanted to roll under a rock and not do anything because every time I made a paycheck, someone else took it. And I think, you do lose your mojo. And then I got divorced at the same time. So that was probably not the best financial decision to make in my life. But again, I didn't feel that was shouldn't be a catalyst to stay either. I didn't want to stay with my ex-husband because I couldn't afford to leave him. And I don't believe any woman should do that. And so I made that decision and off I went with a 24-year-old. Manifested this life. And I don't know how, but I am more successful today than I have ever been. I have very successful businesses. I've got a gorgeous husband, gorgeous homes. And I'm not saying that to rub it in. I'm telling you what you can achieve in your late 30s. I was 43 when I met my husband. So, I thought I was going to go bankrupt at some stage, and I built myself completely back. And I want to tell women out there that if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing all of that. I didn't realize you had gone to boarding school. I went to boarding school at
Oh,
13 myself.
oh wow.
And it was not, I wasn't 6, but 13 is still super young. And I think it is exactly what, as you say, you learn to, okay, it's just me. So let me figure this out. No one is going to come and save you. And so that's such a good message. I mean, no one's coming. I think so many times people are dealing with narcissists or they're dealing with high conflict people, difficult people, and they think, why isn't it different? Why isn't it different a year from now? Why isn't it different 2 years from now? Well, the difference is that you have to make a decision. You have to make it different. You have to make a choice. And you're never, uh, there's never an end. There's never like, well, this is my life. I mean, you always have a choice. You always have a choice in how you are going to respond. Thinking that other person is going to change is not the response. You have to change. And what you've done is be able to take situations and say, you know what? How can I make this different? How can I get through this? How can I get successful again? How do I land on my feet? And that, I think, is such the difference between people. You don't have a victim mentality. You have an abundance mentality. And I want to sort of break that down for people so that they can understand how can they be more like Caroline. Because you've been at the effect. I mean, even on Real Housewives, there's a whole nest of narcissists there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how do you break down your thinking for people so that people can understand how do you, and when you're in that moment, think what's going on in your brain?
Well, they've always wanted, look, Housewives is sort of built with a competitive streak, and I'm not a competitive person. You want it, take it. There's room for all of us as far as I'm concerned. It's not Survivor. We're all going to be on it. So and I'm a little bit older than the other girls, so I'm a little more relaxed. But what I will say is, I think, people have always tried to steal other people's joy, and I think not letting them be able to do that. So, for example, for those of you out there watching, if you've watched Reunion, the girls will always go, well, oh, I mean, this one, they're trying to say that someone bought my home for me, that, someone pays all my bills for me. Now, naturally ingrained in me because of all the stuff I've been through, and it's on my podcast. And I always want to say to them, I wish you would, listen to my podcast. I'm sure they have. They're just not going to give it to me. Or if you've seen my last show, I've worked very hard my entire life, my entire life. So, by saying other people pay for me, it's a big trigger. But then I actually know that it's not, you can't fight with a narcissist. There's no point. I can scream till I'm blue in the face. Like, how am I going to prove that? Right? You can't. I mean, you can, but not without sort of going to pull out your bank statements, you're this, you're that, which when on earth would I do that? I'm 48 years old. I'm not going to like justify my life to these girls. And that's the way I sort of change it in my head, because obviously, on reunions and things like that in housewives, you see these girls pulling out receipts. They go, look, I paid this. I'm English. We don't do that, right? I think anyone with a brain knows that even on social media, I don't care how good you are, they're not giving homes away. They're not, people can't buy somebody's lifestyle, not possible. I don't even know what that would look like. And I think, I can only assume or pray that people aren't that stupid. And that's enough. And I know the truth. And I think at some stage you have to be, when you're confronted with a narcissist or confronted with people that want to steal your joy. Like one of the girls said to me, oh, well, the producers loved you. They gave you such a good edit. And I'm thinking, no, they didn't. They didn't give me a good edit. That's me. They have to take that joy from you. And but I didn't say no, they didn't, because there's just no point. I'm not going to argue it that I'm great and that's just who I am. If they, because they want me to get defensive, they want to rile me, they want to trigger me. I do pay for this. I pay my bill. I'm not going to go there. And I think once you learn, I think that's a very important lesson that you gave, which was, it's how you react to the situation. Once you take that power away and they realize they're arguing with themselves, they look pretty stupid, because you're going, okay, fine. Fine. Somebody bought my house. Great. I'm not going to argue with you. Nor do I have to prove anything to you. I'm living in my home. Whatever you think. And as it happens, forget just them. I've learned over time, everybody has an opinion, as we all know, and their opinion is none of your business. So as long as I can wake up and look at myself, I know I pay my bills. I know that I've worked incredibly hard my whole life for everything that I own and have have achieved. That's all. I only need it for me, my husband, and my children.
Have you ever met somebody, they started off to be the most charming, charismatic person you've ever met in your life. Then they turned out to be your worst nightmare. And then when you go to negotiate with them, they're a living hell. Well, I developed something called the SLAY method of negotiating with narcissists, and it has helped tens of thousands of people in more than 150 countries win, go from feeling drained and defeated to getting the outcomes they want. And the reason why it works is because I spent more than 20 years studying narcissism as a trial attorney, and now I'm here to help you win too, and also take your suffering and turn it into your superpower. Take your pain and turn it into profit, peace, and purpose as a highly specialized high conflict negotiation coach. If you want to learn how to do it, then just go to RebeccaZung.com/apply and I will show you how.
That's a very, very peaceful place to live.
So good, because you're not giving your power. The minute you're triggered and you're upset about what the other person is doing or saying or feeling or whatever about you, then you're giving them your power. And what you're saying is you're taking your power back. You know what? Well, whatever. Say whatever you want to say. Do whatever you're going to do, because they're going to say and do whatever they want. And they're triggered
and
by
you're not going to change it. Yeah. Right. And you're not going to change their opinion.
Right. I mean, I know, somebody that I used to be friends with, another friend of mine, an actual friend, told me that person said, oh, she just got so lucky on YouTube or whatever.
Oh, I hate that.
And I was like, I wanted to say to myself, I got lucky. Okay, sure. I mean, the YouTube algorithm is one of the hardest, and, maybe people are listening to me because I do have 20 years experience as a lawyer and I do know what I'm talking about. I have credibility, whatever. But I thought, whatever, if that's what they want to say and that's how they want to justify themselves because it makes them feel better. Okay, you can do that over there, but I'll send you light, but over there, just don't let it penetrate me.
I've
Right.
been working at YouTube for 3 years. I've got about nothing like what you've got. So no, it is very tough to crack YouTube. And, at the end of the day, you're providing something and that other women want to hear and or want to learn, or other people, and not just women, obviously. And it's not, we have a talent. You have a talent to talk to somebody. You have a talent to have someone listen to you and stand up. And actually, I'm more famous today for my podcast than I probably am for housewives, because it has helped so many women, because I did choose a path that maybe looks on the outside a little ridiculous, but I also want to say to you, for some of you that look at me and go, well, I bounce around at my age doing the things I do. But, I kind of feel like I had a very grown up childhood, very grown up childhood. And
Me
what
too.
my, yeah, and what my money has afforded me today is the freedom to be a child. And my husband, even if he is a lot younger than me, he gives me the freedom to be a child with him and have these amazing experiences, and to have the fun and the light come back of maybe the things that I missed back then. And I always say what a gift it is at my age to slightly have a do-over.
So let's talk about that, because I think sometimes people are stuck in their own, what I call rackets, or their own limiting beliefs, their own thoughts,
Mhm.
which are, I'm too old, I'm too busy, I have too much going on, I don't have money, that's not me. Well, that's you. You've got all of this opportunity, you had this platform, whatever it is. What would you say to people who are facing those fears, facing the their own limiting beliefs?
Again, I've got quite tough, pull up your socks and get on with it, because, it used to be that you can say, well, you've got money and you come from this family, or you're on TV. And that's just BS now, because Instagram, some Instagram models, or not models, but TV personalities or people like yourselves, have become more famous than TV stars.
Mhm.
So, and that doesn't require money. That requires patience and tenacity. Okay.
Mhm.
It doesn't require anything else than a camera and you sitting in your bedroom. So
Yep.
anyone has the window and the opportunity that you didn't before. So that is just an easy excuse for someone that is scared or just hasn't got started yet. I always say the first step's the hardest.
Mhm.
And obviously, again, we all get a little bit embarrassed talking to ourselves on camera, and you kind of don't like the way you look. And housewives beat that out of me. I've been on reality TV for nearly 10 years now. So, obviously I can't control the angles my face is at, and, how I look on TV when you've got a million cameras on you. The joy of what you do is that you can. So, it might be hard to watch your mannerisms for the first two, but you get over it. Learn to speak, get the confidence. We all had to go through it. Nobody walks on and sits down and goes, I look fabulous and I love this, and oh, I love it. The one thing I would say is, when you do make these videos, um, if you're going to get into something like YouTube or doing a podcast, is do not edit yourself. Get someone else to edit it. I never listen to my own podcast ever, because I'm scared, and not until it's out. I'll listen to it months later. But because I don't want to edit it, I want someone else. I want my editor edit it, because she's not attached to it like I am. Otherwise, I would worry all the time about, what if someone hears this, or my father hears it, or my mother hears it, or you just over edit and you overthink things. And I think that's the key. Be raw, be vulnerable, be authentic, and just talk, and people will listen.
Losing weight can be tough, and I know how frustrating it can be to feel like nothing is working. And that's why I'm so excited to offer something really special for you that's truly helping people. Hers. Right now, everyone's talking about weight loss medications like GLP-1s, but you don't need to be a celebrity to access them. Through Hers, you can get affordable, doctor-developed weight loss programs designed just for you, whether it's GLP-1 injections like the ones in Ozempic or Wegovy, or oral medication kits. Hers gives you the options to tailor everything right to your needs. What I love about Hers is that they make loss realistic and affordable, starting at just $199 a month with no hidden fees. Plus, you get the support of a medical provider to adjust your plan, answer questions along the way, all online and delivered right to your door. If you're ready for a weight loss solution that actually works, start your free online visit today at forhers.com/negotiate. That's FORHERS.com/negotiate for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Yeah, the authenticity piece is so important. I know for me, when I first started, I had a lot of shame around the fact that I had been in a business partnership with a narcissist. And because I was supposed to be this badass attorney and I built this big practice, and how did this happen to me? And a lot of shame around the fact that I felt powerless. I felt like I lost a lot of sleep over that. And I felt like, paralyzed. And until I decided, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? Let me get out of this thing. But it was once I started sharing that people were like, oh, wow, you did it. I can do it too. And, I think that vulnerability piece is so important. You had talked on some of your other shows about one of the housewives that you had to deal with, who you knew kind of early on that there were red flags, but you went ahead with the relationship anyway, and then it turned out to be disastrous. Can you talk a little bit about red flags and ignoring your intuition, and how that has played out for you in your life?
Well, look, Housewives is a difficult thing because what happens at the end of each season is they sort of say, do you have any friends that would like to come on? And putting on friends is always a double-edged sword, because what happens is I don't care. It's what I say about business partners. I don't care how close you are. You don't know anyone until a camera, fame, competition comes into it. You can be as close or as good intentions as, but people switch. The moment that camera goes up, people switch. And I've always known, so that I know who you're talking about. So I always knew that I was going to bring on. I mean, I had my friends and family on my first one, but bringing on the girl that I brought on, she was in a bad state, and sort of was like, I really want to, I really need this. And I don't ever want to be the reason. I knew she would switch on me. I always knew she would. I just didn't think she would in the first week. But desperate people do desperate things. And, I also have always said, I don't want to be the person that ruins someone's dream, because ultimately, as a powerful housewife and somebody that's been in it a long time, obviously, I do have not say over the show, but you do have, like, you can, after how many seasons go, look, I don't want that girl in. If she's coming in, I'm not coming back. Not so much for the ones that are already in there. You couldn't have one removed that's there, but you could say, I'm sure it would weigh in if I had said, I don't want her. I categorically don't want her. If you choose her or me. But I would never do that, because I would never want to be the reason someone didn't get their dream, right? I always feel that at the end of the day, I know who I am. I'm a good person deep down. I mean, I've made mistakes in my life. We all have, but I consider other people always. And I think even if it was the wrong person, I knew that she was going to go for me. I would still let it unfold because at the end of the day, there's only so much they can do. I always feel that the girls that come after me, there's only so much that they can do or say because I've been on TV for a very long time. So this most of the skeletons that I've got, they're out. They're in the public domain already. I mean, and the last one I married. So it's there. So, there's not a lot you can throw at me that really ruffles my feathers anymore. It's annoyingly, as the girls were saying for reunion, I'm cool as a cucumber.
Well, I would say though that I love that about you. The other thing though is that I wanted to get to is that you knew that the red flags were there. You
Hmm.
saw that. And
Yes.
in some ways you ignored them. Um,
But
so I
these
just
shows,
the reason why I
you
want to
you
bring
know,
this up is
yeah,
not because I'm judging you, but because I want other people to see, hey, if you see red flags, don't
don't ignore
ignore
it.
them.
But
Exactly.
that's the difference. In my personal life, I wouldn't have ignored the red flags. In a TV show, there are always going to be red flags, right? Because ultimately the women are coming in and we're put against each other. Okay, so no one's coming in with full on love for you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's a different scenario. A red flag in my relationship. Look, I mean, it's difficult because, okay, put it this way. My husband is 20 years younger. I came
Hmm.
out of a very stable relationship, and to my girlfriends, there were a zillion red flags with Sergio. 24 years old, Latin, ex-footballer, end of his career, didn't know where he was going, knew no one here. Like, where's the green flag? So, there's also navigating, and now we're 6 years in and couldn't be happier. And let me tell you, I didn't do, we have separate pots of money. We did a prenup. We've done all the things, or I did all those things because I will never be in a position that if I didn't want to, if I wanted to walk away after a year, I could, and so could he. And we could have both gone, here you go. And I have children. He always knew, like, there are certain things that I'm double his age. I had things that were never going to go to him. They would always go to my kids. And he's fine with that. So, I also don't know, like, because my girlfriend said that he was one walking flag. How do you navigate that?
Well, I mean, I would say that the way that you knew that he was okay was that he was fine with a lot of the things that you wanted. And instead of pushing you to do things that you didn't want to do, pushing you to put his name on assets, pushing you to give up your friendships, pushing you to give up a career, or pushing you to, those are the red flags. I
Right.
mean, just the only red flag that, maybe here is that there was this huge age difference. Okay.
Mm.
I mean, but that's not necessarily a red flag in the personality. That's just more like, okay, are you guys going to have a lot in common? What's going to happen as you age? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Is he giving up a family? I mean, having his own kids or whatever. I mean, like those are more like considerations, I would say, rather than red flags. Red flags to me are like the personality type is there's something off, and that there's something off. They're hot, they're cold, they're
Mm.
ghosting you, they're treating you poorly. Now they love you. They're saying things that aren't congruent with what you're seeing. They lied about their background. Everybody in their background is awful. They're the victim. Like those are the types of red flags that I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
You
No, I
know,
mean, yeah. So I think housewives will always have red flags because innately everyone's jealous of the other one, right? Because they want to be the best and they want to be, it's stupid. I mean, really stupid. Everyone wants to talk about who's got the more money, who's got this, who's more successful. It's crazy what that show is about, which isn't how I run my day-to-day normal life. It's the exact opposite of my normal life with my friends.
yeah. So talk a little bit about what you look for in a friendship and how you really have boundaries around people who are not going to be to the vibrational level that you want.
Well, funnily enough, this is a really good one because I think it's really taken me time, because I think when you're low, and when I met my husband, I was low because it was, the very end of my court case. And after I won, I felt a certain amount of like, just everything was, I was free, right? Completely free. And I think from that moment on, I think people that didn't get behind me, people that didn't see my worth, people didn't see, I've always felt that like a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I never felt completely like a housewife, even though I was a breakout star, because my housewives was in England. And even though I attended all the things, it wasn't, I'm not in America. So maybe I've kind of had this level of fame, but it's not the, the crazy housewife fame, even though I've been here for years. And I've had success, but then I've also lost it. So that then the excitement that you get from being so successful, sort of, then you feel like depleted again. So I think trying to find people to get on my train, and then especially now, is so important to me, because I can't afford to have someone that is draining me in any aspect of my life. I get up now, I open the curtains, I say 3 things I'm grateful for. I manifest, I do my vision boards. I'm doing a new one right now. Everything is on that vision board that I've got now. Like, I mean, it's crazy. I'm very specific. I have a glass house in the Middle East that didn't even exist, on a river. Like, I live in the desert. I'm on the river. I thought that house was in LA, but it's here. And all of these things, I just, it's stupid stuff. I had a Bentley on my last vision board last year, and it's in my driveway right now. I literally walked out a month ago while my husband was away and bought myself a Bentley. And I manifest everything in my life and make it happen, because I'm so determined. And as I said, I only keep friends around me now that genuinely want the best for me. And when they see me like that, they celebrate me, and I also celebrate them. Like, if they ask me how I'm doing it, or, can I help hook them up with people, or can I introduce them? I will always do that, because I come from a place, if I always say, if I can do it, you can do it. And
Me
there's
too.
enough.
Making that transition between summer and fall is always a crazy thing. And that's why I love having a leather jacket, like my gorgeous one from Quince. And they have timeless and high quality items, which I love. And they don't blow my budget, which I also love. They have cashmere sweaters and washable silk tops. And everything is like 50 to 80% less than other brands, which I also love. They cut out the middleman. They pass the savings on to us, which is also amazing. It's safe and ethical, which I also love. I really love my brown leather jacket from them. It's super stylish and it's high quality. Just love that. So make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/negotiate for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/negotiate to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/negotiate.
Yes, I love that. And it's exactly how I think as well. Talk about your vision board. Tell people about that.
Well, actually, I went to my friend is one of the best manifestation coaches, Roxy Fanusi, and I went to her show 2 days ago. And it's funny because I actually kept my vision board. I keep it on my window so I can see it every day. She actually says that you shouldn't do that, because then when people come, they're naturally attracted to look at it, and naturally are jealous of you, or it, or what you have. So, but she said there's no right or wrong. My vision board is very, very specific. I put everything I want on there in the present tense. So I have the most successful TV show, and that's where your limiting beliefs come in and things, because she made a valid point. If you put it up on your window and you have how much money do you want to earn next year, you're going to put a realistic number, right? But if you're putting your vision board away, then you're probably going to put $1 billion. And she goes, you should be putting $1 billion. And I'm like, oh, okay, because that's definitely not what I was doing. I was putting that realistic number down. So everything on there I put, like, I have the most successful boutique hotel in Bali, which my husband and I are building right now. We really are
I'm
building
definitely coming.
Yes. Well, actually, you should host one of your your talks there. That
I
would be in one of
will,
your conferences there.
100%.
Exactly.
This is happening. It's done.
This is happening. This is what I want to do for women, because I host a lot of these talks for women, and I really, really love meeting people. And it's been one of the most powerful things, and that's going on my vision board again. We've done tours with like 2,000 people a night coming and chatting to women about coming unstuck. So things that you want to achieve, and then it's really the steps to get there. So I'll put, I want to sell my house. It's there. I've just bought another house that I want to do Airbnb. It's on there. Everything in my life, all my businesses are there, and what I want the next step to be. So, I have it. So I have the most successful wellness brand. I have the most successful hotel in Bali, and we're full every day. It has to be like that, like it's happened, because you're retraining your brain. And then at the same time, I do affirmations that are on my mirror. And that's it. I really try and I sit outside in the morning, get 10 minutes of sun, and drink my coffee and try and have peace in the morning. And I have a very, very, very happy, overly happy husband. And that's the difference too, by the way, being married to someone who is just so happy to be alive every day. Like, he wakes up no matter what and rolls over and just gives me the biggest squeeze of my life. And it's just so refreshing, because it's just such a different, I can't tell you how different this life is to my past life.
I love that. So your vision board, when you say you put these things on there in present tense, are you writing them out, typing them, and then printing it out and putting it on there?
Printing it, yes. So printing it first. So like, say it's I have the most successful TV show, and I am the #1 reality star in the world. So you go to I just go and print out my picture of housewives, put it up there, and then underneath I put I have the most successful TV show on today, and I've become the breakout star, whatever it is you want. And it's as simple as that. I have the best, I have built, but last year I bought the land in Bali. Now I built the most successful hotel. I will be hosting the best retreats in the world there. Those things, and you'll get to it. I'd never done it before, and I haven't built the big retreat yet, but I started doing these dinners, and these dinners where people paid to come and meet me. And I was thinking, who would come and what a disaster they would be, or, like, would anyone show up? And let me tell you, the women that came, there was one woman that came, she was 75 years old. She sold her company to Warren Buffett. She then made so much money, she bought it back after her husband died. And now she lives in the Upper East Side in New York. And now she became not for money, just for experience. She became a stand-up comedian. And I said, but why?
God, I love that.
Yeah. And she said, because I meet people and I'm scared shitless. She's 75.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Like, I want to take an improv class. I just was telling a friend.
Oh, you do?
I do, because I think it would make me a better speaker, and just a better communicator overall. I think it would be fun.
I absolutely agree. And actually, I'm going to put on mine. I'm going to take a speaking course, because I do get tongue-tied sometimes. And we do a lot of these kind of tours, and we meet a lot of people. And it's fine, because genuinely, when people come, they're so happy to meet you. But I'd love to get better at it. And and there's another excuse as to why you haven't. But now, when it's on your vision board, somehow you're seeing it every day. And then you pick up that phone and take the first step. And I met a wonderful I think she was 93-year-old woman, and she'd been traveling for a month by herself with just her and her pilot. And we just met in the back of a van on safari and got talking to her. And I loved her way of thinking. And I'm meeting just the most amazing, incredible people by taking these chances in life and, doing things that I wouldn't normally do. And I think vision boards just literally train your brain to know where you're going so that you don't get confused in the day. It's not a magic wand, obviously, but I think it does train you to stay on the right track and what you want and what your actual end game and your goal is and what you really, really do want to achieve. Because if it's not on that board, it's not happening.
So true. So good. I love this. You guys, this is so good. All right. So what is one piece of advice, one thing, one mantra, something that you live by that you want to share with everyone?
I think my biggest piece of advice to you all out there is not to give up. I think if one door closes, another one always opens. And I really, really urge you out there to understand that, because especially with mental health being the way it is and the world being a very tough place. And I'll tell you one thing I did for myself. If you do struggle with mental health and you do get overwhelmed, I deleted all my newspaper apps because I couldn't cope with that on top of everything else. Because it's something you can't change per se right now, and you'll feel very helpless for. And I think that, one of the big things you said was helping yourself first. And I think you can't do anything unless you help yourself. And so I think my biggest advice is, if one door closes, another one opens. Do not be scared of changing and pivoting completely. Just because, as you said, you've been a lawyer 20 something years, and that now you're, for want of another word, you're a YouTube star. It's, that's what you are. It may not be what you have trained 24 years for, but who knew life was going to make you this, amazing YouTube star, teaching people how to navigate and negotiate. It's amazing, because that wasn't available, I'm sure, when you trained to become a lawyer.
No, certainly not. No.
Exactly.
And now people recognize me wherever I go, every airplane I get on, every restaurant I go to. It's 50 million views on YouTube now in 4 years. So it's millions of people, and it's crazy. And the way people react to me is so powerful. I really believe it's from above, like I'm just the conduit, because people come up to me and, they start bursting into tears. They want to hug me. You saved my life. That's how I know that I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So
there you go. And that's, if you had come from the traditional background, which I'm sure, you have, people will have said to you, what are you doing? Fooling around on the internet, on YouTube? Go get back to the courtroom, go back to doing something serious, because that's how people think from, before. That is not today. And you learned a modern world, and to pivot your career into something that helps a lot of people, and a lot more people than you probably could in a courtroom.
Yeah. And I did it at 50, so like, that's so different than what people would think, right? I wasn't like a 30-year-old kid.
Well, you did, and you didn't grow up going, I want to be a YouTube star.
No, certainly not.
So it's being able to switch that in your head and not have gone, what am I doing? This is fucking ridiculous. I need to go back and be in a courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love what I do now. I run to work because it doesn't even feel like work, because I'm helping people all day long. And, through my programs, my certification, my training, the corporate programs I'm now doing, I'm helping people every day, which to me is not even work. I love it.
That's why I do the podcast. My first one was, I now pronounce you ex-wife, and it's all, I have so many women that come to me saying, thank you for doing what we all wanted to do, or telling us how, the pitfalls, because, it wasn't all easy, but I put it out there. And, there aren't a lot of women from where I'm from that go on reality TV or do a podcast about divorce and talk about sex and menopause and all of the things that I talk about because, that's not what we're meant to do at our age, you
No,
know? So
no.
I think pivot and don't be ashamed. If you have a talent, or the first job didn't work out, or your career path changed, or it just became obsolete. Lots of things are becoming obsolete right now.
Mhm.
Change.
Yes, so good. Well, I feel like I'm only halfway through, if we live to 100, I mean, we got a long way to go.
We've got a
So,
long way to go.
right. So, where can people find more about you, your podcast? I'm so excited that we just recorded an episode of your podcast. Where can they find out more about you and follow you and all that good stuff?
I'm on Apple and Spotify and all those good places that you can find podcasts. Uncut and Uncensored with Caroline Stanbury. Caroline Stanbury on Instagram and Bust the Label on Instagram and Samsara Nest on Instagram, which is the Bali hotel, which is about to pop up, I hope.
Oh, can't wait.
So, yes. Thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing. I've loved meeting you.
Oh, thank you. I've absolutely loved meeting you too. And you guys, you better all start with your vision boards this week. That's your homework. Give yourself a
Yes.
due date. Do it. Say by Sunday, I'm doing this vision board. Such great advice. Love it. Thank you,
Thank you for
Caroline.
having me.